What's up, guys? We're going to be talking about Amazon profitability and how to calculate your profit per unit. For those of you who don't know, my name is Tom. I spent 5 years at Amazon corporate consulting and helping the fastest growing brands on the Amazon platform grow their business. Left to go start my own agency where we launched several of our own brands. So we're going to walk through a step-by-step process on how to calculate Amazon profitability. A very important thing to know when you're launching a new brand. So we're going to walk through a real life example as well. And so before we get into that, it's important to know and understand why profit is so important on Amazon. Obviously, making money is important, but to understand the reasons why you want to do this before you launch are equally as important. So the first thing when you think about profitability and the reason why it's important on Amazon and how it applies to your business is you want to be able to understand how much money can I spend on advertising. If I'm making $100 per unit sold, in theory, I should be able to spend $100 on advertising to acquire that customer and technically break even, or in other words, not make money. The second thing is it really determines your strategy when you launch a product on Amazon. If your product is not super profitable, you may adjust how you're going to launch on Amazon, or your strategy may be slightly different. You may price differently. And so really important. And then the last thing is it sustainable from a lifestyle perspective, if this is your only income, to make X amount of profit? So it is really, really crucial for brand sellers to determine their profit per unit, especially as you're launching out. So we're going to walk through an example, one of the brands that we manage and test things on, and show you how to calculate the profit per unit using Amazon's given tools in Seller Central. So first, what you want to do, and we're going to walk through this from the lens of someone that is launching a new product, is you first want to identify an example product that you sell or want to sell. So for us, it's going to be Castile soap. This is an organic body wash or hand wash soap made of olive oil. And we want to pinpoint a product that really is similar to the product that we plan on launching. So this is a perfect example, especially you want to look at bottle and then the size. So we know we want to launch a 32-ounce soap similar in size to this. And I'm going to get into why this is important. So if you look here, here's the ASIN, here's the product. And what we're going to do is just take this ASIN identification number in the URL. You can also find it down here on the product detail page. And then what you want to do is type in Amazon Revenue Calculator into Google. And you'll find this neat tool that Amazon gives you and sign in. And so this is the Revenue Calculator tool. This is going to help you and guide you to understand how much money you're going to make per unit. So what you can do is generate an estimate based on an existing product in the Amazon catalog. And so we already copy pasted the ASIN that we want to look at. It's this bamboo and birch pure Castile soap liquid. The reason why this is important when you're starting out, specifically just grabbing a competitor ASIN, is because you might not know the unit weight or the package dimensions of the product that you're trying to sell. So this automatically inputs these metrics for you. And if you already know that, it's totally fine for you to just define your product here using the dimensions here. From a person that's just starting on Amazon, it might be easier to just grab a existing ASIN that has a similar package than what you have, similar size, and you will get a good sense of the fees and how much it's going to cost. The second thing you want to look at is the item price. So if we're walking through this exact example here from Bamboo and Birch, their item price is $12.99. Their referral fee is $1.95. Now what this is a percentage of the price that you're selling the product at that Amazon takes no matter what. In beauty and cosmetics, it's 15%. In other categories, that percentage may differ. Amazon calculates this percentage for you in this revenue calculator. The second cost that you want to look at is fulfillment cost. Now, what exactly is this? Now, Amazon explains exactly what this is, but what this looks at are your dimensions, your weight, and the fee is calculated based off of this. So there's tiered structures based off of how large your product is. So if it's larger or heavier, Amazon may apply different fulfillment cost fees. So that's why it's really important to, before you launch your product, to get the exact dimensions and the exact weight. Those are inputs that you can get directly from your manufacturer or whoever is supplying your product or your packaging. But for now, if you're in the early days and you just want to get a sense of how much profit you can make, you could just take a competitor ASIN. Those are the two most important inputs when calculating profitability. So how you calculate it, right, and we're going to get more into it, is your gross sales price, right? If I'm selling this for $12.99, and then your Amazon fees, that is your referral fee that we just went through, and then your fulfillment cost, and then the last variable cost is your cost of goods sold. You can ignore this section here. Amazon already gives you an estimate for everything for the competitor ASIN that we selected. But the key metric you want to look at and go down to is your cost of goods sold. Now, what does this mean? Cost of goods sold can mean a bunch of different things. It can mean the cost to manufacture the soap in our scenario or our example. So that's COGS. But it also can include all of the incremental costs that come associated with launching or getting your product to the customer. So things like your freight. So when you ship from your supplier, say it's in China and it comes to the US, that's a cost. If you ship from, a manufacturer in the US to Amazon FBA, that's an additional cost. So all of that typically is baked into your COGS. And so what we're going to do is just walk through a real life example of how to calculate COGS, or cost of goods sold. So in this example here, we know our product is a 32-ounce Castile soap, and we're going to price it at $29.99. And our COGS, product cost, our COGS, is $6.10. Now, this is a quote that you get from your supplier who's manufacturing your product. So if you're manufacturing a soap, you want to talk to your supplier and understand how much is it actually going to cost me all up for you to fill this bottle of soap with the product that I have. So this is a number directly given to you, and you want to save it, make sure you have it. That's your product cost. Other variables, and again, this is a real life example, so you're going through exactly what we do for one of our brands. The bottle is going to cost us 43 cents. Label application. So imagine someone applying a label across a bottle. That costs money. That's manual labor. Label production, the actual production of the design on the label, that costs money as well. Our threaded cap, how much does it cost to bottle up the soap? The flip cap that we have. And then what we calculated here is we manufacture our bottles and our caps in China. So how much would it cost on a per unit basis to ship the bottle and the cap from China to the US? Now, this is a number that can be given to you by your supplier. Say if you're manufacturing in China, you'll get the final cost of how much it costs to ship. And then what you can do is just do some simple math, take that total cost, divide it by the number of units you're manufacturing for, and you'll get the per unit cost to ship freight. Now, the last sort of variable cost we have is the freight to Amazon. How much does it cost for us to get the soap, because all of the bottles and the caps arrive from China into our factory in the US, where they bottle the soap, put all the liquid in, and then send it to Amazon. So how much does it cost to send that soap bottled up, ready to go to the customer from the US to an Amazon warehouse? These two numbers can be calculated through third-party websites, through your factory. It's really easy to get sort of this number. Now, This right column is just an additional column we like to look at is the percent of the gross sale number. So what this is helpful and useful to visualize for is where can you potentially cut cost, right? So label production, 2.3%. It may not seem like a lot, but it's 2.3% of the total gross sales. That's somewhere you could save some dollars, or the freight to Amazon, or obviously the cost of goods sold, the actual manufacturing cost. When you get larger, you may be able to get some price breaks on your product. And so this gets you to a total landed COGS, right? So this is rows 3 to rows 9, $8.74. That is the cost to get a product to the customer. From there, you're going to get your gross margin. So this is your gross margin percentage. And then now, as mentioned earlier, you still have additional cost. You still have to pay Amazon your referral fee, and then Amazon the fulfillment cost. That means your storage, when they're picking it and packing it into the box to send to the customer. They pay for shipping to the end customer. Don't forget that. And so, again, this is taken from the revenue calculator here. $6.44, actually. So we're going to update this to $6.44. And then our referral fee, remember, we're going to update our price here, $4.50, because they take 15% of the item price. So that's super important when you decide what you're going to price at. Your total FBA fees is $10.94. That means your total operating expenses is going to be $19.68. Now, this is quite useful to outline it like this so you can understand where all your cost or your cost centers are. Now, your net profit is basically a calculation of your gross sales minus your total operating expenses. And then your net margin is your net profit divided by gross sales. Now, I just went through a lot, but what's important to look at here is you now know $10.31 is my net margin. That's how much I make, or net profit. That's how much I make per unit. Every time I sell a $29.99 bottle of soap, I make $10.31. A good rule of thumb for Amazon brands and sellers, especially if you're brand new, is you want to have your net margin percentage above 30%. A lot of brands and sellers like to keep it at that golden 33%. And the reason why is to get a product really at scale and humming really properly, you need to have some sort of advertising mechanism behind it to push the product, get it more visible. When you have a net margin percentage of 33% and larger, you have a lot more room from an advertising perspective to play around with. So you have $10.31 effectively to acquire a customer and then break even. So, you may decide, hey, I only want to spend $8 to acquire a customer. Well, you're going to make $2.31 of profit. So that's super important to understand. So we're going to punch in these numbers here, $10.31. Our product cost, our total landed COGS right here. Let's revise this. Is right here. Your ROI formula, if you want to calculate this, is totally optional, is your net profit divided by product cost or total landed COGS times 100%. And you're going to get your ROI. Not as important, but really what you want to focus on here is the net margin aspect. So we're going to go back here and just use Amazon's tool, right? So just to verify our work is correct and all of this looks right. $29.99, that's going to be our item price. Here's our referral fee. Here's how much Amazon is going to charge us for fulfilling and shipping the product to the Amazon customer. And then here's our total cost of goods sold landed is $8.74. And we're going to get our 32% net margin percentage, which is right around that sweet spot. our estimated sales over the last 30 days. Again, this is just taking the estimated sales for this product. And if we sold 2,400 units of this product per month, we make $24K in profit. So that's how you calculate net margin percentage. Really important for you to understand as a brand owner, seller, as you're launching a new product, to go through this math and understand how much you're making in profit per unit. I hope everyone enjoyed this. In the next series, we're going to go deep into how we calculate and understand advertising performance based off of this net profitability metric. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll be back with more later.